To keep yourself updated, subscribe to Indigo Learn and click the bell icon and download our app OneFin to start learning on the go.
Good morning once again and welcome to this session. This is a joint session for CA Inter, CA IPC for both May and November attempt. Initially, we thought we'll have two separate discussions, but we thought for the overall exam preparation strategy, a single session would be sufficient. For November students, we'll again have one more session after the May exams get over, whenever they get over, right? So just to understand, how many of you are writing CA IPC? That is the old syllabus. If you can just raise your hands, I'll get a sense of how many are from old stream and how many are from new stream. Overall approach will remain the same for accounting paper, but still. So those from old syllabus, can you just raise your hand? There will be a raise hand option down below on the screen, or you can check reactions. There you can get, a thumbs up thing. So if you can just help me with that, it'll be easy for me to understand. So I have not got any thumbs up. So shall I presume that every one of you are in new syllabus? Anyone from old syllabus, please, either raise your hand or you can type in the chat box or you can give a thumbs up so that I get a sense of, the crowd composition. Okay, so I have not got any response. So I presume all of you are from new syllabus. If anyone is from old syllabus, I'll take up your queries separately. So because the entire structure, we have now a lot of students joined in. We expected more, but I think you are the ones who are more serious about your examinations. Now, welcome. So I'll share my screen. Yeah. So for all of you, earlier there used to be this confusion that, which topic is important, which portion, which chapters will be tested more. But now Institute has given more or less the structure within which the questions would be asked. So now if you look at these, the section wise weightage that we call, this is a must read document for each one of you. This will tell you where will you get your questions from, right? Mostly 90-95% Institute will follow these section wise weightage pattern and then they will test questions in the examination. So still students are joining in. Now, accounting being your first paper at CA Inter and also highly scoring, it is much easier to score in accounting than when you compare it with a theoretical subject, and there is not much to remember. It is more to understand, right? Now coming to the section wise weightage that you see, the first part, that is accounting standards, come for about 20 to 25 marks. Sometimes they may test even for 30 marks. So 20 to 25 marks from accounting standards, and you can see from these 8 standards, you can easily pocket 20 to 25 marks easily. When I say easily, these are not very complex standards. These are simple standards, right? There is nothing, much to remember. There would be some complexities here and there, but largely these are simple. Once you understand the concept, you should be able to score good marks in these. And the benefit with these accounting standards is questions are not lengthy. Questions are generally, as compared to the marks allotted, 5 marks question would not be very much lengthy. And with good practice, you should be able to track this. Now in these, only standard where students may face some difficulty is this accounting standard 11, right? That is slightly concept heavy, and you would not have been exposed to foreign exchange transactions in your day-to-day life. So these can be slightly tricky. But apart from that, AS1, I don't think anyone would be reading now because they would have, learned it enough number of times at your foundation level. Valuation of inventories, this is just an extension of what you learned in CA Foundation inventory chapter. Cash flow statement, there is nothing which can be tricked around. This is a simple format-based standard. Property, plant and equipment, again, accounting for fixed asset, hardly any complexity. I'm not saying it is easy, but there is hardly any complexity in this. Again, government grants, simple and straightforward. Investments, you have a separate dedicated chapter there. And borrowing cost, you just need to compute interest and capitalize. Now, why I'm saying each of this is, these are the areas, if you focus, smaller questions, not much of complexities, and you can score. You can score well in these. And let me tell you, with my experience, students who do good in question number 1, that is a compulsory question, they generally tend to score more overall. Because if you do a mistake in a 16-mark question or a 20-mark question, let's say if it's a 16-mark question, you did it half right, you will get about 8 to 9 marks. With similar efforts, a 5-mark question, if you do, there is a high chance that you will get 5 out of 5 or 4 out of 4, because there is hardly anything where there is a scope of reduction of marks. So this is one area where you should focus, and by after watching the lectures, going through the notes, practicing the questions solved in the class, go back, simply pick up the past exam papers, RTPs and MTPs, practice. Conceptual clarity is very much important in accounting standards, and it will be sufficient. Now, a specific question what a lot of students ask us is, do we need to quote para numbers or para number, clause number? Nothing. You just need to remember the accounting standard numbers and the name of the accounting standard, right? Now, moving further, the second part which accounts for 20 to 25% of marks, investment accounting, insurance claims, and hire purchase and installment sale transaction. Now, even here, investment accounting is largely related to your AS13. Again, only confusions could be computing that X right price, come right price, right? Computing the interest portion, dividend portion. But if you go back and see the past exam questions, whether for CA Inter, or if you want, you can go back and see CA IPC questions, you will see that there are limited variety of questions what institute can ask from this chapter, investment accounting. There are only limited varieties of question, either accounting for bonds or accounting for shares. There will be either a bonus issue or there will be a right issue, X dividend, come dividend, X interest, come interest. The entire chapter revolves around that. And once you can compute those numbers correctly, again here there is no scope that marks could be deducted. Insurance claim can be slightly tricky, especially if it is a loss for profit policy, which needs a slightly more practice and more understanding, right? Coming to again hire purchase and installment sale, again straightforward routine set of journal entries. There is nothing special which can be tested here. Hire purchase, calculate the the cash price, the hire purchase price, the interest, and specific set of journal entries that you need to pass. Same thing is with the case of installment sale. Now in hire purchase, what at most what they can test you is on the repossession, and even there if you see, by and large questions which are tested are similar. So this is again area which can be somewhat good in scoring for you. Now coming to the third section, that is your departmental, branch and single entry system, what we call. In this departmental accounting, only thing where students generally find trouble and what you need to focus on is calculating the closing stock reserve, the reserve on the goods transferred and markup. That is one which can be tricky. Same thing happens in case of branches. Now here, because there are very much different methods of solving, that can be tricky. Now, how you should strategize your preparation is, here if you see 20-25% weightage from these three chapters, another 20-25% weightage from these three chapters. But if you look at the efforts to understand accounting for branches for different methods, stock and debtors method, only the debtors method, the trading profit and loss account method, the foreign branches, integral, non-integral, so much of complexity. But when it comes to investment accounting, simple, straightforward. Insurance claim, stock is pretty much simple. Hire purchase, simpler than these chapters. So your focus also should be like, if you are more comfortable here and if you are slightly less comfortable here, first try to master this. I am not saying that you should leave this aside. I'm not at all saying that. But if you can first master this and then start focusing on handling these kind of questions. And even here, this accounting for incomplete records, this is much simpler. Again, here, once you get the question, tallying the balance sheet or getting out the incomplete information will not be difficult. The accounting for incomplete records will also help you to solve cash flow related problems, right? The logic, the concept remains same. So some things which you have learned as the non-profit organization related adjustments in CA Foundation, similar approach will be applied even here. So students, what they find challenging is departmental and branch accounting. So here what I suggest is you at least try to cover this topic more than what you try to cover other topics, right? So when you're preparing, make sure that out of 100 marks, you should be at least targeting 60 around marks in this subject, and it is possible, right? So where will you get those maximum marks from? From these accounting standards, which will be much more simpler questions to handle. questions from chapters like investment, questions from chapters like hire purchase, questions from chapters like accounting from incomplete records. These are the ones which can help you score more marks easily. What I understand or what I see with my experience is people tend to get confused and make mistakes here. So here you have to be extra careful. Now, coming to the last part on your company accounts, this is again highly scoring. You can see 30 to 35 marks can be straightforward scored. It can be inside your pocket by focusing on some small aspects and formats. That's it. This chapter on companies accounts is only about formats. So again, maybe you will put equal effort in these 3 chapters and these 6 chapters, but the result that you will get, the score that you can make, 30 to 35% is much more easier in this chapter than the other chapter. Now, in company account, the only thing that you need to understand, or the only thing you need to focus more, is remember the format of the balance sheet, the profit and loss account. Ensure that you write sufficient notes in notes to accounts and all. You focus on that. And for cash flow, again, you try to remember the format and do it in the format which is prescribed. Apart from that, profit or loss prior to incorporation, I think this is a bonus question. This is a bonus question, free hit. Out of 7 or 8 adjustments that you generally get in the examination, you will be easily able to do 6 adjustments without any problem. So 6 out of 8 marks is guaranteed if you do it properly. So this is one area which you should consider as a free hit. I would say you should try to score 6 out of 6, 6 out of 8, 8 out of 8 in this particular chapter, because there is nothing complex. Compute the time ratio, compute the sales ratio, apportion the expenses. Very, very simple. Then coming to bonus issue, straightforward set of entries. Again, there is no complexity here. Just that you need to see how much is the bonus number or bonus quantum. Pass the journal entries. 5 marks, I think, can be inside, in your pocket easily. Again, redemption of preference shares and redemption of debentures. What is the complexity here? In preference shares, the CRR, how to compute the capital redemption reserve amount. That is one thing that you need to know. If you know that, done. There is there is not much of a challenge here. Debentures, again, how to compute the DRR. That is one thing which would be, challenging. Managerial remuneration, if you remember the limits, you can do well in this examination. Now, these are the broad focus area for your examination, right? So now what I'm trying to tell here is your chapter number 1, where you can get 20 to 25 marks, chapter number 4, where you can get 30 to 35 marks. This should take care of your passing requirement. For those of you are, for your out of 100 marks, 40 to 50 marks you should target from these 2 chapters, and balance marks you should target from these 2 chapters. And let me tell you, accounting is one subject for your CA Inter where you need to score that extra marks, so that if at all there is a shortfall in any other subject, this will take care of that. And I'm not telling this to someone who would be considering this as an average student or something. I'm not doing it. I'm not telling to any specific student. I am telling to everybody, because I myself, though I got a 2nd rank in CA final, in one of the subjects I had scored only 44. I'm repeating, I scored only 44 in one of the subjects in CA final. Now 44, if I score 44, even to get an average of 50, I need that 6 marks of buffer, right? That buffer will be given to you by this subject, which is your accounting, because this is highly scoring. There are less chances of, losing marks here, and there are less provisions to remember, unlike, income tax and GST, which are also scoring, where you need to remember a lot. But here, remembering is lesser as compared to other subjects. Theory involved is also lesser as compared to other subjects. Paper generally is not lengthy. So this is one thing, which is your first paper. This has to be Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma of your team, which will score that extra marks and which will help you to get that aggregate, passing marks, ranks, whatever you call it. This is one subject which will give you. I'm not telling this because I teach this subject, but this is how you can strategize and do well in the examination, right? So coming to examination papers, a lot of you might be scared. How do we handle the question paper? How tough will be the question paper? Pick up any question paper. Pick up any question paper. You will see that 40 to 50 marks will be straightforward. 40 to 50 marks. In fact, I can, open a question paper and, show that to you. Just a moment. So I'm just picking up any random question paper, right? So this is a November 20 question paper. Question number 1 is compulsory. So now, first is on depreciation. Now again, see, land for 50 lakhs. There is no depreciation on land. 1 mark is easily, 1 mark is inside your pocket here. Nothing. You just need to say land is not a depreciable asset and be done with it. Then government grant. You will see these kind of questions being asked a lot, and it's a straightforward, simple question which is even given to you in the study material. The past exam questions, the RTPs, you will see similar kind of question. And even here, journal entries, 5, whatever the number of journal entries, 4 to 5 marks is easily with you. Then investments. I bet you will see these kind of this question also being tested earlier in the past. Then AS16. Again, similar kind of questions you can see. So what I'm trying to tell here is, out of this 20 marks question, target to score at least 15 to 16 marks, because that will give you that advantage. Okay. Then, so this is a branch accounts question, a slightly longer question for a 10 mark. This one is for, I think, single entry system. Then right shares, bonus shares, no dividend paid, prepare the investment account. Again, the question number 3, you can find similar kind of questions, you know, in the past exam questions or in the study material, right? So I'm highlighting those questions which are straightforward. Now this question, the question on, you know, running a business and then the forecasts of sale and purchases, this is a single entry question. This can be, you know, something tricky, but this question 3A is not at all tricky, right? Then come to 3B, fire, insurance related problems. Again, similar to what you would have already covered in the class. Then cash flow using indirect method. Now this is another, you know, thing where I want to re-emphasize. Cash flow questions are such that 8 out of 8 or 10 out of 10 can be easily scored. There will not be difficulties, and I'm giving a guarantee here that, you know, you will not find difficulty in scoring 8 out of 10 in a cash flow related question. There may be 1 or 2 adjustment which is difficult, but you will not, you know, whatever adjustments you can do properly, you will get marks for that. And because it is stepwise marking, for every item you will get marks. So for example, let's say there are, you know, 5 adjustments here and 3 adjustments here, another, you know, so total of 9 adjustments here, 10 adjustment. For each adjustment you will get half mark to 1 mark, right? So even if you are able to do out of 10 adjustments, 7 to 8 adjustments correctly, you will be able to score that, you know, 5 marks, 6 marks, 7 marks, whatever it is, right? So now this dividend distribution tax is no longer relevant, so that is need not worry. Then again, this kind of question you can again find it in the study material. Straightforward question of 10 marks. Hire purchase, a simple 5 mark, 8 mark question. Redemption of preference shares. Again, go back, you will find similar kind of question in the material. Then 4 questions at last. Departmental accounting, 1 theory question. Question on managerial remuneration. And the last one is profit and loss account. Now, here, now you have to see this prepare profit and loss account and balance sheet for, just a second. So I'm not sure why they've not given marks here. Answer any 4. Now so this is out of the 6th question. Out of 5 you have to answer any 4. Now you have to be careful. A, B, C, D. Now if you look at, so this one is profit and loss account and the balance sheet, assuming it's not a going concern. So this can be a slightly lengthy question. See this question. Balance sheet and profit and loss account. Now this is one thing you have to be careful when you appear in your examination. If the question is way too lengthy, you can skip that question or do it at the end, because this question looks like more than, you know, worth of 5 marks, because the time you will need to read this itself is too long, right? So if you pick up this question paper and go back and see how much of this question paper is simple. I'll guarantee that 50 to 60 marks, you will see that either it's a direct question from the material, or it is a question from the RTP or MTP or past exam paper. Now, if you can do that properly, then it will be easy for you to score those 60 marks in the examination, right? So this is how you should look at a question paper. What tends to happen for a lot of you is, as you are practicing, as you are learning, you will assume that you will only get the most difficult question from all the chapters. That is what our assumption when we do the preparation. Investment accounting, the toughest problem will come. Insurance claim, the toughest problem will come. So by building this kind of an assumption that always it will be the most difficult question that will come in the examination, we make it burdensome. But you need to, look into actual question papers, and then you will realize that out of 100 marks, 40, 50 around 50 to 55 marks of question will be easy, straightforward. 20, 30 will be some higher difficulty, and balance 20 obviously will be, of a very much difficult level, right? So this is one another thing what I want you to keep in mind. And once you get a question paper in the examination, right? How to utilize that 15 minutes? Question number 1 is compulsory, so don't read question number 1. You read the balance question without reading the numbers. For example, in this case, this number of 240, 30, 24, 12 is not relevant, because you should know, can you handle this question? This question number D. For example, this 840, 60, 185, 438, that is not important. What is important? What is the question? What are the details in the question? And what is the question asking? Okay, stock and debtors method. Can I do stock and debtors method? Yes, I can do stock and debtors method. So you can attempt this question. So like this, without looking at the amount, quickly scan through all the questions in 15 minutes time and check which question you can do in the examination, right? So this is another thing what I wanted to have a discussion with you as to how to read the question paper. Let me re-emphasize for the sake of repetition. Working notes are very, very important. A lot of time what happens is students tend to think, why do we need to write working notes? Why do we need to write notes to account? My experience, students have done balance sheet and profit and loss account correctly, but because they did not prepare notes to accounts, they lost 4 to 5 marks. Because they did not write journal entries, they lost 2 marks extra. So don't lose those small points, right? By writing journal entries, if you can get that 2 marks extra, it will be very, very important for you at an overall level. Okay, so keep that in mind when you are preparing and also when you are attempting the examination. Now, that is broadly what I had to tell from my side. So what I'll do is, now if you have any specific questions, you can raise hands. I will unmute you, and then you can ask your question. I'll try to address it, or you can type the question in the chat box. I will answer that question from the chat box. Anything related to preparation strategy, exam, fear, anything you can ask. Subject related specific doubts, I'll not be taking up in this session. For that, we'll have a separate session, or you can ask in the forums. So it's up to you. Whatever doubt, whatever concern, whatever fear you have, you can ask, and I'll be happy to address. Just raise your hand so that I can unmute you, and then you can ask, or you can write it in the chat box. For old syllabus, I'll come up. Akhila, I'll come to the old syllabus, because initially when I asked, nobody had responded. So I will guide you separately on how to handle the old syllabus. Now in AS, do we need to by heart, or can we write in our own words? Now let us go back to this question paper specific and see what kind of questions are asked in accounting standard. First question: A Limited has certain assets, calculate depreciation. They have given you 4 items. Now what you need to do? You need to calculate depreciation. So here, even if you have to write theory, you may just need to write theory like, okay, land is not a depreciable asset as per accounting standard 10 revised. So there is no depreciation on land. That's all you need to write. It can be in your own words. You need not reproduce it again. Come to question number 2. Pass necessary journal entries. Now even here, the explanation of treatment of government grant. Okay, when the grant is taken, it will be done, so and so thing will be done, or accounting will be done in a specific way. When the grant is refunded, then it will be done in a specific way. Then you can write the journal entries. So even here, there is nothing to reproduce exactly. Then How above investment will be shown in books of accounts for A Limited? Now again, as per accounting standard 13, accounting for investment, how will you say investments can be of either their current or short-term investments or long-term investment. Short-term investments are valued at lower of cost or fair value or market value. Long-term investments are carried at cost unless there is a permanent diminution in the value of the investment. Simple. This line would be sufficient. Need not remember all the lines of accounting standards. This is more a practical numerical based question rather than a theory paper. So you need not remember and reproduce everything. Okay. Then show the treatment of interest and explain the nature of assets. So again, here you need to calculate, the interest. What will you do for the, interest? How much will be capitalized? How much will not be capitalized? That's it. Right. So there is nothing you need to remember by heart. Okay. So the next question is, how many months of revision is enough to clear both the groups? I would suggest at least 2 months of revision time. Now you should be in your revision time if you're writing in May. If you're writing in November, ensure that you start your revision by September first week or so. Okay, that should be a revision time. How to deal with the question in the example that we have not seen or practiced. Now, yeah, this is one thing you have to be very careful about. Sometimes you will get bounces. Even if you practice 100 questions, 500 questions, there will be a question which you have not seen. There will be an adjustment which you have not seen. And you may get a unique kind of question in the examination. Now, first thing, if at all you get a question which you have not seen, which you find it difficult, attempt that question towards the last. Don't break your head on that question in the beginning. First, finish up that 80 marks paper, which you can do comfortably. Come to this question at last. I'll give you my own example. When I was writing CA final in 2009, two things happened. Institute came up with an announcement saying that all questions will be compulsory, right? So earlier it used to be, we used to get one choice, but for CA final at that point of time, they said all questions would be compulsory. Second, in FR paper, financial reporting paper, they gave a question combining 3 accounting standards, which was not tested prior to that. But it was new to us. Computation was not difficult, but the question was new. You would have learned, right? Consolidated financial statements in advanced accounting. They tested a concept which was not tested earlier to us. Now, what did I do? I simply kept that question aside and I thought that I will attempt that question at the end. So I finished up my 80 mark of balance paper, whichever I could attempt, 75 marks I could attempt. And I came to that question of, 20 marks question at the end. Why did I come to it at the end? Because if I waste my time in solving a question which I don't know, I will lose out on the questions which I know. So in your examination, first finish up what you know. Then come to this kind of questions which you don't know. And even in these kind of adjustments, you will note that only 1 or 2 adjustments will be tricky. Out of 8, 10, 12 adjustments, only 1 or 2 adjustments will be tricky. So think through it. If you can solve it, fine. If you cannot solve it, it's okay. Finish the remaining 8 adjustments properly. There is no requirement that you have to attempt 100 out of 100. In fact, for CA final, when I wrote, I attempted around 740 or 750 marks out of 800. Okay. So what you need to do is that 90-95 marks, you should do it well. Don't aim for 100% perfection, right? Even so if you have to say, even if you have to get a rank, you need not have 100% perfection. Okay. So that is what is important. Question paper of group 1, you can start solving in your revision time. Okay, so there is a very nice question. Will they reduce marks if we do not maintain paper neatly, like drawing column without using scale, etc.? So again, here I'll tell my own example also because I have been a paper evaluator in the past for ICI. So with my experience, I'll tell you, there is no marks deduction if you don't draw the columns. In fact, I have folded my papers in my cost accounting in CA Inter because I didn't have time. I folded into half. I made 4 columns by folding the paper and I solved it. Just ensure that you write the amounts in a single column neatly. Okay. Need not draw lines, but fold the paper into 4 parts or 3 parts, how much ever parts you need, and don't write in a zigzag fashion. Okay. So when I say zigzag fashion, it should not be, let me just, give a small example so that, you will be able to understand. Just let me share my screen with you. Okay, so now when I say not in zigzag fashion is, so what you should not do is, let us say you're writing some amount here. Okay, I'm using my mouse, it will not be so clean. Okay, my handwriting is not so bad. Okay, don't. So if you have to write 400, don't write 400 here. Ensure that this line Even if you don't draw a line, fold the paper and keep it in a straight line. Don't write in a zigzag fashion. Okay, that is what is important. If you can maintain that, drawing lines is not necessary. You can draw lines at the end when you have time, right? Then, okay. So other thing is, how many days do we allot minimum before the exam to prepare exclusively for accounts? So generally what my approach had been and what I suggest to a lot of my students which works is, you keep aside, see, almost all the papers will have 1 day gap, right? Now, how many days before the accounting paper should you leave other papers? So at least give 3 days. So your final revision should be planned in a way that accounting, that last revision and before exam preparation should happen together. Okay, so you can allot about 3 days of time for accounts just before the accounting paper. The last leg of revision, you can revise the 7 papers and then pick up accounts at the end, continue working on that and be ready for your examination. Okay, can we write exams in shuffled manner? Can we write subdivision separately? How do we do that? Okay, so for this, I have a simple advice to you. Okay, no need to make it complicated. You are paying examination fees to ICAI, so you can use as many papers as you want, right? Few things that you need to keep in mind. If you start question number 1, do question number 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D together. So 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D together. Now, what if I don't know 1C? Nothing to worry. Leave about 1 page or 2 page in between and continue. So, for example, in the first page, you write 1A, second page, write 1B, third and fourth page, you leave for 1C, and fourth, and after that, you can do 1D. If at a later point of time, you are not able to do it, come back and just strike off that paper. Okay, but ensure that all these 4 questions are together. You can leave 1 page, you can leave 2 page, you can leave 3 page, up to you. Once you finish up the paper, just come and strike up. Now, at least with the digital evaluation, one thing is certain, that all the papers will be checked. There is nothing like, they will miss out on some paper. So that control is nicely built into the system. So need not worry about that. Okay, so same thing. I know question number 2A, I don't know question number 2B. Leave space for 2B, leave 1 page extra. And also, don't be greedy in filling up the paper. Like I have seen some students, what they do is, because they don't have sufficient space, they try to write in the margin, they try to write it at the end of the page and all. Don't do that. What you need to do is, so let's say there is a balance sheet, profit and loss account question. Take 1 page for balance sheet, 1 page for profit and loss account, 2-3 pages for working notes and notes to account. Use as much papers as you can, because you are paying examination fees. So don't worry about that. Okay, I know you have to be environmental conscious also, but passing the exam right now is more important. So please, don't try to worry about how many papers will I consume. There is nothing like that. So if you have to, okay, so accounting practice, do we need to do all again, right? So, if you have to do accounts practice and if it is taking a lot of time to solve all the questions, what you need to do is, whatever is covered in the classroom, that at least you should do fully. After that, you can take up, say, it depends on the confidence level. Like if you ask me, I hardly solved any problem fully in accounting. I didn't go for tuitions also, and I hardly solved any problems, fully. What I used to do is, okay, if it is a question on, for example, amalgamation is not there in your, accounting is there in advanced accounting. In amalgamation, I simply used to compute only 2 things: purchase consideration, goodwill or capital reserve. Once this is done, I knew that I will be able to prepare the balance sheet and it will tally if my, goodwill and the purchase consideration is tallied, right? So you need not solve all the problems fully. If it is a familiar problem or if it is a, easier problem you have already seen, you can just glance through the solution. But tricky adjustment you must definitely practice. Study material notes that you have given for theory is sufficient. Practice problems, you have to add MTPs, RTPs on your own. Now, one important thing why we want students to do MTPs and RTPs on their own is, till the time you do on your own, you will not get a hang of how to solve. I can solve 100 questions in the class, but that will not help you. You have to solve because you are the one who is going to write the examination, right? So a coach can give a lot of training, but the player has to go and play in the field. And till the time the player practices on his own, it will be very difficult. We are there to solve your doubts. We are there to help you with the adjustments, whatever kind of adjustments you come across, from whatever source you send the question to us, that we will support you. But you have to practice from your side so that you get confidence for your examination. Then when can we write Indigo Learn mocks? For May exams, somewhere in mid of April we can start, and for November exams you will be, can write somewhere around in September, October time, right? When I start the chapter, I take longer time than usual standards to complete. The problem is lack of practice or any other reason. See, everyone has a different pace. Okay. So the schedule that we have given is given for a normal situation, how a student should prepare. There is a possibility that you may take extra time, and there is nothing to worry because everyone has a different pace of learning, right? So if you are taking extra time, you need to dedicate some more extra time for your preparation. That's it. Okay. And as you practice again and again, you will be able to finish up things on time. Nothing to worry about that. Study material, practice manual, I think that is more than sufficient. Go through RTPs and past exam questions also. Can we write date column in margin? You can write date column in margin, but I don't think there is a necessity unless you have a very large font of handwriting, but that's fine. Is it compulsory to start a new question in a fresh page? It's not more than compulsory. As I told you, you are paying examination fees. Better to start a new question in a fresh page. The reason being, if you mix two questions, then there is a chance that some part of that question may be missed while evaluating. Okay. Second thing is, if you start a fresh question in a new page, if at all there was some error in the earlier question, you will still have some space where you can go back and do the correction. Accounting standards, every time they are giving new question in the examination, what to do? Now, I took up a November question. Okay. Question number 1 may be new, but conceptually depreciation is same, right? There is not much of a difference. Question number B, 1B, you can find similar question in the study material in the past exam question. Question number 1C, similar question, 1C, you can find similar question. 1D also you can find similar question. See, exactly same question will not come, but 80-85% similar question will come in the examination. So how much time to spend for revision again depends on an individual, right? Each student has a different pace, but frankly speaking, about 1.5 months for the first revision, and about 15 to 20 days, 25 days for the second revision should be sufficient. So this is another important question. You can start the sum with working notes. It's perfectly fine. And then you can follow it up with the main solution. How to take notes? Now for last day revision, you should only focus on specific areas where you have found difficulty. Which standards you have found difficulty in, and which questions you have found difficulty in, which adjustments you have found, difficulty in. That things you can focus. Study material in hard copies, yes, we will start working on that, right? That is another thing we are planning to do, but you can still take printout and you can, refer it. How to complete 100 marks in 3 hours? A very simple solution to this is allocate a way in which you spend about 1.8 minutes for every mark. For a 5-mark question, 8 to 9 minutes. For a 10-mark question, 18 minutes. For a 20 marks question, 35 minutes, right? Now, what tends to happen is when you're working on a long question, let's say there is a long question of 20 marks, it may take 40 minutes, it may take 45 minutes also. But if it is taking more than that, even after 40-45 minutes, you have not able to solve the problem fully, leave it there and then move on. Why? Because if you keep on spending extra time on a single question, you will lose out on other questions. So after the dedicated time, so as I told you, simple way I used to follow is for a 5-mark question, 8 to 9 minutes, 10 minutes maximum. For a 20-mark question or a 16-mark question, 30 to 35 minutes. Even after 30, 35, 40 minutes, if I feel that, the problem is only half complete and I am not able to finish it, leave that question, revisit that question later. What is the difficulty you are facing, Tarun, in printing them outside? Just let me know. So if you feel that 3 hours is not sufficient for you to attempt the paper fully, what you need to do is you need to take up past exam papers and write and practice at home in exam condition. Only then you will be able to solve that in 3 hours time. And 80, 85, 90 marks well attempted is a good enough attempt. Yes, for January cycle students, you have sufficient time to appear for both groups in the November examination. In the past, we used to have WhatsApp group for doubts and queries. It is easy to clarify doubts and then queries in forum. Can we have that back? Now, the problem is for us, there are about 700-800 students and it is very difficult to handle multiple WhatsApp groups. Forums, you have app, you can access it through website. You just need to put a question under a specific part and that is being addressed. In fact, there are more than 16,000 discussions on forums as of today, right? So I don't think, once you start using it, you will get used to. I know WhatsApp is much simpler to use, but considering the number of students that we have, it has become easy, right? So you can ask, forum questions are being asked in English only. So there is nowhere that, we entertain Hindi in forums that way. Again, see, why we want students to use forums is you can have subject specific group and we can track. See, in a Telegram group, if there are 1,000 students, if they ask some 50 questions, we will not know what is answered, what is not answered. But in forum, at the back end, the moderators, the administrators, the teachers, they know that, okay, this many questions are not yet answered. So we can pick it up and we can answer it. So see, I know switching from WhatsApp to forum might be, user interface wise, you may find it slightly, difficult to adapt initially. You try posting 2-3 questions and once you start getting responses, you will feel that it is done. I don't know cash flow method, indirect method. So, we have, covered it extensively in the class. So if you have any specific doubt, you can ask us there. I have, in fact, started from the basics, the logics, and we have practiced enough questions in the class, which you can, target. Yeah, the test series will be announced sometime in the next week and you can, pick it up after that. Paper, will it be easy? Will it be difficult? We cannot guess. But as I told you, you pick up any random paper of any past examination, 50 to 60 marks is straightforward. Okay, most of the times, unless you are very unlucky, 50 to 60 marks is straightforward, either directly from the study material, similar to the study material, or picked up from any past exam question or RTP. So, okay, these kind of rumors you should not believe in. Okay, if exams are postponed, they might increase the difficulties. All these things will not happen. The simple reason is, I am telling you because it's a closed group out here. I have been earlier before I started teaching, I have been in the examination panel. I have set questions for CA Inter and into CA Foundation. In fact, a couple of questions are there in the study material also. I have written study material for CA Final. I have corrected papers. So examination question paper setting is already done for this attempt. By February and by March, the question papers are already finalized. They are already been sealed. They would have been sent it for printing also. So it is not that because they'll postpone exam by 10 days, they will come and they will redo the question papers. It doesn't happen. Okay. So trust me, that way, this is not that just because exams are postponed, the difficulty levels will be higher. That way. Okay. Then how many question paper? You need to solve as many as you can. Okay, it depends again on the individual level of preparation. After you have finished the syllabus and once you are revising, after that, as many papers as you can, you should try to solve. How many hours preparation is needed for both groups? Right now, if you start, at least about 8 to 10 hours every day. Just a second, I'm getting the code. How many revisions better? I did only one. So if you have finished one, you can do one more. You have time. May batch, you are in May batch, you want to postpone, you want to extend. See, extension, you can contact support, they will guide you. But why are you wanting to postpone? If unless there is a preparation lack, I don't suggest students to postpone the exams. Chance of postponement of May 21 exams, for all of you, please think that exam will happen in May as per the dates announced and please prepare accordingly. Okay, for extension and all, please contact the support at indigolearn.com. They'll help you. But again, my humble request to each one of you, if you have prepared sufficiently enough, please don't postpone. Get a feeling of how the exams happen and please appear in the examination. Okay. For November 21 examinations, you can, even if you start today, there is sufficient time for you to prepare. So don't worry about that. See, MTP, RTPs, we have, so for new syllabus has started only from 2017 and 18, right? So for previous attempt, if you want to refer to earlier attempts, you can refer to IPCC practice manual. So this is the weightage, okay? And you will see that generally these kind of weightages are followed in the examination. So if you want to master and safeguard your position, focus area 5, if you ask me, 1 and this. These two, if you be perfect, and then start focusing on these two, the section 2 and section 3. So Gauri, what you can, okay, so what I'll also do is I'll open the schedule for you guys. or for, specifically because there is a question. So even if you start today, we are what? April, right? So May, June, July, August, September, October. Even if we assume the worst case scenario that examination will begin in first week of November, 6 months is what you have. So 6 months into 30 days into 10 hours a day, you have 1800 hours. Even if you start today, 6 months, 30 days, 10 hours a day, you have 1800 hours. Okay. In 1800 hours, our course content is 800 hours. Okay. To finish that 800 hours, you will take about 1000 to 1200 hours. Even after that, you have 600 hours left for revision. So even if you start today, you have sufficient time to finish up. You may have to stretch further. Maybe instead of 10 hours, you may have to give 12 hours, but there is time. 6 months is good enough time to prepare for your examination. Don't worry about that. Now for direct entry students who are, how do you manage both articleship and studies? Now, what you need to do is, because when you go to final also, you'll have this problem. You have to read at the same time. You will have to do the, studies, right? So what you need to do is you have to fix the time. Morning, okay, 6 to 8 morning, and maybe in the evening around after 8 to 10 kind of thing. So this time stretch, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, you have to take out and you have to prepare. All right, and then daytime you can finish up your articleship. Now in articleship also, one thing that you will note is a lot of time there is no work at office. Okay, for whatever reason, because there may not be peak season, after your filing periods are over and all, there will be less work at office. At that point of time, you will need to focus on your preparation. Need not be video lectures. You can take up the income tax book at office and you can read that. You can take up GST book at office and you can read that. You can take up accounting standards and you can read that. So wherever you get extra time in the articleship, utilize it for your studies. Okay. Amendments in account for May 21, only change, that is dividend distribution tax is not applicable. Okay. So apart from that, no large change for May 21 attempts. How many hours of preparation per day is needed for May 21? Now that exactly depends on what level of preparation you are. Okay. So what you can do is, right from now also, for May 21 students, your target should be to give 10 to 12 hours per day every day for the next, so whatever 20 days are left in April, 25 days, another 20 days are left in May. So that period of time, you should focus on 10 to 12 hours per day. So you can revise using the notes. So as you prepare in the class, you can, you can note down specific points, and using the notes, you can revise that. For law, tax and all, you will have separate session, but remember to the extent you can remember. Okay. Don't waste too much of time in remembering the section. Branch, see, everything is important. I cannot say today that this is important or this is not important. Depending on what is your comfort level, you choose. So basically, out of these 4 sections, you have to choose and decide which is the one you're most comfortable with. There you should score the maximum. You make, so that's what I'm saying. This 20-25 here and this 30-35 here, they are going to be Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli for your preparation. Okay. Then try to get maximum from section 2 and section 3. Our details about test series will be announced in a week's time. So and that, for students who have already enrolled with us, you will be given access to it free of cost. So don't worry about that. Right? If you are an enrolled student, one test series, one question paper of 100 marks will be given to you and evaluated at free of cost. We will not charge anything extra. Beyond that, you can, we'll get to, you'll get to know the details once we announce. Taxation material, if you want to, refer to, you can refer to, Vinod Singhania or Girish Ahuja. These are renowned authors. They write really nicely. Apart from the notes and the institute material, if you want to refer to anything else, Taxman publication and Girish Ahuja's authorship is good. So mock test paper, one mock test paper you can write, which is included in your course fee. Apart from that, you can write one more by making a payment, and that is reasonable. It will not be very costly. Other subject queries you can ask to the respective faculties. They will be able to help you out. Anything specific to account strategy and account preparation, you let me know. So Akshay, the thing is, institute's examination is, it is not examination where we can give guess questions and all, because see, there is a structure within which they ask. Okay. Now, one thing you need to understand is in BCom and 10+2, we used to have all of this, guest paper series, model test series, and all of that. If you cover that, it is sufficient. But for institute examination, if you try to do that, two things will happen. One, some of the questions may come up from there, which is anyways, which will happen. That is, you will get from either study material or RTP or MTP. Okay. And if you start approaching it that way now, in final, it will be very difficult. So instead of focusing on important questions and all, try to understand conceptually, try to practice as much as possible. That will help you to pass easily and also will help you in the final. Okay, so let me make it very clear here. There are no shortcuts in the examination. Okay, especially for CA. If you have one subject to cover, I think you still can cover because there are 45 days roughly left. Okay, so you should be able to cover. Accounting material, I think institute materials and past exam questions should be sufficient. I got 51. They didn't give reasonable marks for correct solutions. So if you have any kind of this concern that you wrote correctly but you did not get sufficient marks, please send your certified copy to support@indigoloan.com. I will personally go through the paper and tell you why did you lose marks wherever you have lost marks. Okay, so for any paper you can send it to support@indigoloan.com and I will take it up. Right? Anything else? Tarun, I didn't understand your question completely. Yeah, preparing through scanners will also be helpful. That is perfectly fine. Even difficulty level for MCQs will be similar. Out of 30 marks MCQs, you'll have 10 to 15 marks easy, 5 to 10 marks slightly medium, and remaining harder. So we cannot comment, right? See, okay, we cannot comment on how they give marks, and even with basic knowledge, they may get higher marks and all. I don't think it is fair for us to put a comment on that. So scanners are available in the market. There is one publication by the name Suchitra Publication who publishes scanner. You can get it from there. Indigo Learn materials are available as part of resources. So free resources is available for some subjects. They are available inside the course, which are different for the paid students. Right? You can download for some subjects in free resources. Other things are there. Yeah, okay. Why did we not solve questions given at the back of the material? Is we want you to attempt it, and if you have a doubt, come back to us and then ask the question. Okay, if you have found it really difficult in solving any specific question, you can post it in the forum, and I will take it up personally, and if needed, I'll record a video solution for that. You be rest assured for that. Scanner is nothing but past examination questions arranged chapter wise. Okay, so either you take a past exam question by question. Now, one important thing what I want to highlight here is, it is better to check attempt by attempt question than looking at chapter by chapter question, because if you look at 100 marks paper, you will get a sense of, okay, out of this 100 marks, I will be able to easily handle 60 marks, 70 marks, 80 marks, 90 marks. Okay, but if you do chapter by chapter, you will never get that wholesome picture. Okay, so better to follow that as well. Chapter wise test we will not be having for now. Okay, because now you are at an inter level, and you should be good enough to do it at a subject level or a paper level. For practice, again, that's why we said we have covered book illustrations, some important past exam questions, right? Some important problems from the practice questions also. Apart from that, if you have any other questions where you are finding difficulty, you can ask us. We will try to help you with the query, and if needed, we will provide a solution. MTP versus RTP, which is useful? MTP gives you 100 marks overview. RTP gives you specific last minute revision things, and generally there is a good amount of chance that 1 or 2 questions come from MTP or RTP for the respective attempt. Yeah, live revision sessions will be covered, will be conducted covering important points. Sorry, MCQs in soft copy are not available, so you need to use app, and you need to practice that for now. Right? So marathon day before exam. Okay, we will check if it is feasible. We'll definitely have it, because okay, one reason why we don't do marathon is the day before examination you should be preparing at your pace as per your difficulty level and as per your difficulty perception. If you follow a marathon lecture or something like that, what will happen is you will only get to know what the other person is wanting to tell. You will never be able to revise what you're finding it difficult. Okay, so the thing that you need to do is, for last day revision before the examination, you need to have your own set of, list that, okay, these are the topics I need to revise before the examination, because each person will have difficulty in, specific topic or specific chapter. So you should focus on those specific difficult chapters than focusing on an entire subject marathon revision. So let me tell you one thing. It is not because of marathon videos they are qualifying. Okay, so if somebody is saying that they are qualifying just because of marathon videos, 1 or 2 cases it may be possible. We have, like, for example, I have done a 7-hour marathon lecture on strategic management. Okay, I have done it. You can refer to that if you want to refer. But for qualifying in the examination, your normal preparation, your writing in the examination is more important. Like for us, for someone like I have passed without taking tuitions. I have got ranks without taking tuition. So it is not good to compare that somebody has passed just because of a marathon lecture. People will put comments saying that, they got some help, they could pass. We will have revisionary lectures for specific important topics, 1 to 2 revisionary lectures for each chapter, each subject, with the help of which you can do well in the examination. So law revision lectures we did for a couple of chapters for the last attempt. If you see companies, management and administration, which one was important. This also we will, try to add more chapters, and you can revise that. If you go back to our YouTube channel, revisionary lectures are there. Okay. If you need any personal suggestion, you can send it to support, or you can send it to my email ID, and that will be I will address you. You got an email in the morning from my email ID, you can write that. Some of the papers you take it up as a 3-hour exam. Try to solve it in an exam condition, that will be helpful. ICI module, some past exam questions and some practice questions. Yeah, so we have taken few important chapters for revision. We'll keep on adding revision lectures for specific chapters as we move ahead. For example, for EIS, we have all the things, because EIS is something where students find very much of, a lot of difficulties, right? For companies, we got a feedback, that, okay, company accounts and management and administration is where students were finding more difficulty. And we had done specific, revision lectures for that, right? So we'll keep on adding revisionary lectures, which will be helpful for you. Okay, right? So yeah, I think I'm overshooting the time. It's already 12:05, and I have other meetings and all also to attend. Any questions for subject and all, you can ask in the forum. Any other doubts you have, help you want, you can put it in the support, right? Before November 21, we'll have more of these interactions, right? Finance Act for November 20. I think you are asking for November 21. So for May 21 and November 21, Finance Act 2020 is applicable. Okay. Sure. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for the questions. This gives us some perspective. We'll keep on chatting. You can, reach out to me on my email ID. You can write to support. You can write to forums. I do respond on forums as well. Study well, stay safe, and, have a relax, take care of your family, and prepare well for your examination. Thanks a lot and take care.